2024 SSA Gold Rush Gaming Men's 16-inch Major National Championship. A little bonus coverage. Will Rush showed you the end of the Hex Farrell game. Jack Doss, who got picked up by the Pharaohs from Hex, driving in the winning run in the 8th inning. Meanwhile, right here, we got Circus and Ftown 4-4, and they are in the 9th inning as they head to the bottom of the 9th here. So they're in the right dugouts, that is. So we're going to give you bonus coverage, and then we're going to roll right into the 45 Resmondo game. Championship Sunday, 2 championships on the line. The men's tournament and, of course, the women's tournament. We will try to sneak in some women's coverage if we can. Certainly going to show the championship game. And that tournament kicks off at around noon or 12:30, depending on when the 11 o'clock games finish on fields 2 and 3. So a lot of softball coming up. You still got time. It's beautiful out here. Got a nice breeze. Temperatures should be in the mid-70s. No humidity. And when we say breeze, look at that flag. Howling straight in on this diamond. And it was blowing in on the diamond where Will showed you the Pharaohs and Hex. Hex has been eliminated. So we're starting to drop down. Not quite sure who won the Signature Dynasty game. And there's a swing and it drifts foul. So Colson tried to go opposite field there. And again, you got that wind blowing in. It's more from center field with a slight twist. So it's probably blowing toward the first base bag. But it is howling in here Sunday in Joliet, Illinois. So reset on Colson. We're in the bottom of the 9th here, 4-4. And when we get onto fields like this with 16-inch, it changes the dynamic quite a bit. When you're playing in these kind of conditions, you really do need to play, as we call it, baseball, which means you have to be able to move runners, and that ball's going to drift. You saw Tony Valdez fighting that ball all the way to the foul line almost. Colson had a little inside-out action on the swing, and that ball wanted to hook away from him, but Valdez stayed right with it. Here's Remo. And Circus, a big pickup as KD, Kevin Duff, was not here yesterday, but he's back at second. And you saw why KD, one of the better second basemen. So it's Sherwin, D'Agostino, and Valdez in the outfield. Hordecki, Koronkowski, and here's Hussein. He takes a pitch. Michael Lange up the middle. Sean Burke at first, KD at second, Caputo on the hill, Chavez catching. No Tim Koronkowski today, or Brian Koronkowski. And Hussein hits a little flare, and the Resmondo guy with a water bottle makes a juggling catch. So they can't catch the ball without the mitt. So they're really squeezing Hussein with this wind howling in as it is. And we've seen him. He will hit the ball hard. He hit something hard in an alley. And there's a chopper back to Caputo. And we're going to head to the 10th here. Nothing like a good 10-inning game to start Championship Sunday. So I would assume while Field 1 and Field 2 are going to play some awful tight, score-wise, I would think 3 and 4, there would be a little more offense. So we head to the top of the 10th. Runs hard to come by. That makes your defense much more important at this stage of a ball game. And Resmondo on the 45s, they've already taken their batting practice. So these teams are just kind of going to be hanging around here. So Alex Chavez is going to lead it off. Looks like Brian Sherwin on deck, and then that usually spins it to their top. And we talked all summer about how good. Yeah, this is Ftown versus Circus. This is bonus coverage. So disregard the scoreboard. We had set that up for the next ball game. And if we go to the bottom half of this inning, maybe we'll change the scoreboard. So little pitch and catch there as Pisarek over to Bartles. Little pitch and catch. So it's important not to get a lot of air under the ball when it's blowing in like this. So what you want to try to do is hit line drives over to the infield. And even if you hit the ball down, you want to try to shoot it through. And there's a little flare, but Hussein comes in and makes the play. Cutters generally do not like it when the wind blows in because the outfield is playing you tight. And when you cut a lot of times and that wind blows in, it tends to hold the ball up in the air a little bit. So cutters love it when the wind blows out because then the outfield's got to respect you, even if you're a smaller guy, and that opens up more territory for him. So here's Sean Burke. That pitch a little outside. Weber didn't like it. Top of the 10th inning, 2 outs, nobody on. And Sean Burke, a little fly ball. Jalen Smith, plenty of speed, comes running in, and he makes the catch.
Right now. Come on, boys. Come on. Gotta go.
I'm just going to change the scoreboard for the people that are going to be tuning in maybe a little late. Again, this is bonus coverage. We're in the bottom of the 10th, 4-4. So Ftown's had a good run. They finished second in the SSA Class A Glove National Championship. They lost to the Fat Kids. And they're still alive. I'd like to congratulate the Goons. They won a couple of games out here. They started out at the B level, played in 3 tournaments off their original B fee, as they were top 6 at B and top 6 at A. So nice run for the Goons team. And my girl Marla managing Herdecki, a little bobble, but he held on. 1 out here in the bottom of the 10th, and this is turning into a war of attrition. And since we got here, we haven't really seen anybody concentrate on trying to shoot the ball either through the infield or really concentrating on hitting line drives. And there's a little, that's going to hang up, and Valdez, and you saw that ball, that wind was knocking it down. All of a sudden, he had to kind of do a quick action with a downward swipe there with the gloves, and you notice he did 2 hands. Oh, I'm sorry, Fat Kids, that's right. They beat Savage. Thanks, Tommy. Giving Ftown a little too much credit. So here's the pitcher, Weber. And it's a definite skill playing 16-inch softball with the wind blowing in. And I've had a lot of teams that when the wind was blowing in, they didn't react very well to that. My Mudville teams were okay. We didn't score a lot of runs, and we played good defense. We loved it. But when I was with even Flashback, and they had one of the best offenses in the game at that time, and there's a little spinner, so we're going to head top of the 11th. So a lot of times teams will brain lock because they're used to free swinging. So this is going to be interesting. We haven't seen Resmondo play on a field with the wind howling in. Now, they're big, strong dudes, and they hit a lot of line drives, and we've seen them hit a lot of balls through the infield. And if they continue to hit line drives and hit it down, they might be okay. 45s generally are pretty good. They're pretty adaptable. We've seen them through the years play well with the wind blowing in. So that's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. Because, again, the wind affects the ball a lot more, 12 versus 16-inch. So it's going to be Joey Caputo. Then it might be either Duff or D'Agostino, probably Duff and then Dags. So the Pharaohs having a great run. So I believe they're now in the top 6. And they've been playing good ball. And, you know, Signature's a funny team. They will get in the loser's bracket and grind, so I don't know who won that game. And Caputo trying to flip it over there. Pharaoh guy can't make the catch. I think the Pharaohs are waiting on the Signature winner, so they're all along the fence line down here watching the game. Caputo, that's going to hold up. Hussein will make that catch. So when you pop it up in the air like that, it just isn't going to go anywhere. So here's KD. Now, KD's got a hard overhand cut, and he does like to come hard down this right field line with that cut swing. And we'll see if he tries to just hit a line drive over the first baseman here. And that's the other thing. When the wind's blowing in like this, sometimes the pitchers do have trouble throwing strikes. So I think that it'll be an interesting thing to see if the 45s make a conscious effort to make Clark throw strikes in that Resmondo game. I know one thing. Mike Marasovic, if he was on this field, or Jeff Hernandez, they both got terrific knuckleballs. They would be loving this. So Weber grabs a strike. What's up, Brandon? Miss seeing you out. And Duff goes hard to center, but Jalen Smith is there. That ball looked like it started out a little bit toward left center, kind of got pushed back to center. Jalen looking at his glove. And here's Chrissy D'Agostino. Now, Chrissy can flat out fly.
Give me that.
Now, Chrissy's the kind of guy, if he pumps one into a gap, line drive style, he could hit a home run. This kid can just really wheel. 11th inning, 4-4 here.
Back there, Blue.
So now here we see a lot of this with the out-of-state teams. A lot of the Chicago teams will question balls and strikes on occasion, but every umpire is different. So if you're a hitter, you just got to adapt. If you're a pitcher, you just got to adapt. And whatever the conversation was, whoever delivers a strike. And I tell you, pitching's a lot harder than people think. And Dag's a little ground ball handled by Pisarcik, plenty of arm. Got the big Sunday hop. We go to the bottom of the 11th here. See big Isaiah Dixon right here. And here's where you can put a lot of pressure on the defense too. Guys like Jalen Smith, who can flat out run, puts a lot of pressure. If he makes an infielder have to move, wind or no wind, it becomes a tough play. And I've noticed that a lot of the infielders have been making a point of really making sure that they throw the ball a little bit harder, because if you lob it over here, that wind might take it away from your first baseman. You can see Isaiah Dixon blocking out the sun over here. So let's see if Jalen tries to slap and run and maybe put a little pressure on the left side of the circus defense here. Now, Joey Caputo, very good defensively up the middle. Kevin Duff, a lot of range, but if he gets it past Caputo, second baseman going to his right hand might have a problem. Of course, if Jalen gets on, it doesn't take much to score him. You see Jalen settling in here. And there he tries to just punch it. And I think Jalen caught a break there. Had that been a little closer to being fair, I think Scotty Hrdecki would have had an easy catch over there. I always laugh. We get to this time of the weekend and a lot of the players got no voice left. And Jalen, that should be caught Tony Valdez. And again, with Jalen's speed, you just, in these conditions, you want him to put pressure on the defense. And here comes Kesterson. With Dalla on deck. Kesterson walks the dog. One out base runner. That's the winner right there. He scores, game over. Brings up Dalla. And they got Pisarcik on deck. Levi Usher. So Levi is wearing Dalla's shirt. Levi was a pickup for this tournament. Now his job is to get him to second. Obviously, you'd like to see a base hit. With where the outfielders are playing, it's going to be tough to go first to third. And you don't want to get thrown out there. And there's a long fly ball. Valdez got turned around. Kesterson running. He's taking the turn at third. And they walk him over. Levi Usher put a charge into it. And in the bottom of the 11th, Ftown walks off Circus. So Usher, wind or no wind, hit it hard, got it over the top of Valdez, and Kesterson scored all the way from first. So Ftown stays alive. They are the last, well, Hall of Fame still alive as well. Hall of Fame came out, won their game over Chuck's this morning. And Usher delivers. So we're going to have the game showing up with Resmondo very shortly. We'll try to stay here a little bit and BS. while we wait for the next game, and I'm going to clear the scoreboard, but 5-4, Ftown walks off Circus in the bottom of the 11th. Exciting stuff here. Come on out, folks. We got great softball all day today. Championship game for the men should be at 5. I believe the women's is going to be around 3. So make plans to get out here. It's a gorgeous day. They're grilling. They got cold beverages. Should be pretty good. So I'm just working on the scoreboard, folks, as we're killing a little time before the next game. No reason to start a new stream. And I'm having a little problems, as I tend to have on occasion with this thing. But the 45s are entering the dugout, so it shouldn't be too long before we start this next ball game. And that's a happy Ftown group. So we still got a pair of Iowa teams alive. Resmondo's still alive in the final 6. 16 in softball definitely changing as we're becoming a more national type of game. We'd like to think the SSA had a lot to do with that, with our live stream and coverage. So we're going to try to get my guy Ram to get a lineup card. Ram, got a lineup card for me, bud? Thank you. So wind howling in, yellow. You always hit, J-Rob. So J-Rob can see these major teams all have a great routine. Since we're going to have a little bit more time here before the broadcast, we'll give you the starting lineups as soon as I get this pinned to my little sheet here. Resmondo will be the visitor in this ball game. 45s will be the home team. And 45's got a few more bodies out here. Looks like the Vince Sacy out today. And it looks like they picked up Dom Jacoby, it looks like, from Los Barachos. So they got a few more bodies. And Dom, let's see if Dom is in the lineup. He'll be playing left field. Of course, Anthony Sanchez with the hamstring injury. So this is how Resmondo's going to go in this game. Josh Riley in left field leading off, followed by Kyle Pearson playing first base. Jason Matusik, the EH in the ball game. Phil Matt catching. Bubba Mack playing third base. Travis Clark pitching, hitting sixth. Buddy Wolf, the right fielder, will be hitting seventh. A second Kyle Pearson playing shortstop, batting eighth. The ninth hitter will be Corey Briggs in center. Brad Reckard will be playing second base, and Kevin Bazat will be, I don't know what that symbol is there, but he's also going to be in the lineup. So for the 45s, they're going to go with Petey Raines in center field, Nate Mercado at short, Vince Sacy extra hitting, Jeff Mastari at third, Billy Smith hitting 5 in right field, Chris Lentine catching, Adam Haas at first, Danny Villaria at second, Dom Jacoby in left, Joe Pauly, the short center, and Israel Sanchez on the bump. And Joe Pauly made one of the most spectacular catches you're ever going to want to see yesterday against the Pharaohs when they knocked them into the losers bracket. That was an 8-7 game at the time. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. And the Pharaohs had a lightning quick kid at first. And he laid out on a ball that looked like it was going to head toward the alley in left center field. And made the catch to end the ball game. So they're going through the ground rules here. My guy Mike from Resmondo and Ram So this is a big tilt here. 45 is one of the most storied franchises in 16-inch softball history. They've had a couple of years and runs where they've dominated the game, playing Resmondo, one of the best 12-inch teams in the country. Somebody told me they lost in Indiana last week, and they actually dropped to second in the point standings in the U-Trip, but they still got a lot of softball left in the U-Trip, so that might be temporary. So very interesting matchup here. And I'm going to take a quick water break, and we'll be starting this game in a couple of minutes. So far the two games that have been played on this field one and on field two have gone extra innings. Both diamonds with the wind. Now the wind seems to be shifting. You can see that big flag was blowing in really toward the first base bag. Now it looks like it's blowing straight across the field toward left, and that makes a big difference. And if you're an outfielder, you got to keep track of that, because if the wind shifts a little bit, it changes what you're doing and how you're playing. In that first game, it looked like anything hit in the air, of course, was going to get knocked down, but the direction of that flag now, anything hit from left field to the left field line, if it stays that direction, might get a little boost as it's not blowing directly in. So you got to keep track of that as an outfielder and also as a pitcher as to how you're delivering the pitches. And there's my guy, Pete Raines, over there, Iron Horse Security. Pete, one of our sponsors, Spiderware. There's my guy, Goose Flanagan. Of course, CJ. And Joe Elgos, all Geo. So we're getting ready to start here. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what adjustments the hitters make, as well as with the pitchers. Like we said, since the circus game, now the wind's kind of dialing back straight in from center. So it's going to be an interesting game. As an infielder, you got to get out on anything hitting the air, because it's going to get knocked down and may even get pushed back to you as an infielder running out. And both corner outfielders got to be aware of it, as does the center fielder. And they all got to work in unison. And so they're talking, Nate thinks the ball is a little slick. So this should be an interesting game with a little change in the wind conditions. And we'll see how everybody adapts to it. So the winner of this game will go to the winter bracket championship. They'll have a game off. Everything is on an hour and a half today. So they'll get themselves about a 2-hour break between games. And the winner of this game will be playing the winner of Flashback in March. And they're playing on field 4. And that game should be interesting because the wind's howling out on that diamond. And that is the championship diamond, so that could be a football score, depending on who makes it, of course. So here's Josh Riley leading off, the left fielder, Kyle Pearson and Jason Matusik.
Check your outfield. Pause it.
So Israel Sanchez. Now the wind is blowing dead straight in from center. We'll keep an eye on that, but it seems like it's oscillating a little bit. So here's Josh Riley. 45 defense, playing fairly deep.
There we go. There we go. 1-2 stop. Let's go.
And there's a line drive snagged by Israel Sanchez. Of course, Israel was a first baseman back in the day. He's in the Hall of Fame. So we know he's got good hands, and that was a low screamer. So it looks like Resmondo's going to try to hit line drives. Izzy got the glove down. That was off his right hip, and he made the catch. Brings up Kyle Pearson. And defense is going to be a big part of the story, I think, in this game. Both teams. And there's a hard ground ball handled by Haas. 2 up, 2 down. And Pearson was looking down that right field line. Was trying to elevate it. And Adam Haas is telling the umpire that swing didn't look like he was coming this way, and the ball just exploded. That was a good example. And there's Matusek, little ground ball to Villarreal, throw to first. 1, 2, 3. So 3 infield balls that inning by Resmondo. 45 defense up to the task, and we head to the bottom of the first. So we haven't seen Resmondo play 16-inch in these conditions. So a lot of what they're going to be doing and seeing this weekend is going to be a little new to them, from hitting the ball, the strike zone. And that was a good example, I think. Pearson, when he hit that ball to first, looked like his lead elbow kind of got out a little bit. And when he barreled up on it, because the barrel was lagging, he rifled it down the right field line. Or the foul line, I should say. It wasn't right field, didn't get out of the infield. But so it's going to be Raines, Mercado, and Sacy. Sorry, dude. So here we go. PJ Raines, he's been hitting in the 2-hole most of the summer, but with Anthony Sanchez injured, he moves up a slot. And we'll see if Resmondo's been playing their infielders kind of tight. We'll see if they do that again today, or if they try to play a little deeper. And
hey, they must think I'm at first, man. 7 feet.
So that's the other thing we'll keep an eye on, is if the 45s try to tax the infield. There were a couple of wild throws there in warm-up. So we'll see here. Defense is going to be very, very important. So again, we're streaming out live. I believe the Facebook should be blocking some of these people that junk up our stream with these claim to be streaming. Don't go there. Don't click on it. They're not vetted, and we don't know if they're scams or not. So, and I'll go back and clean that up and ban them later. Of course, we have given permission to a special guest today from the U-Trip, Dale Wees. Those of you who are U-Trip fans, you know Dale comes out and he does condensed games. So he'll have that out in a little bit. So here we go. PJ Raines. So they're questioning because Clark is stepping forward. I don't know if he's maintaining contact with the run. So still waiting for their second pitcher to PJ Raines, bottom of the first. And there's a strike. So here's P.J. Raines. And he slashes one to center, but in comes the center fielder. Again, that wind will keep some of those balls up. So if you're a hitter and you're hitting down on the ball and getting that underspin, it's gonna hang up there a little bit on you. So if you're not hitting humpbacks and not rolling that top hand a little bit, it's going to hang up there. If you do roll the top hand and you hit a humpback, that wind will help knock it down. It'll almost look like a split finger pitch. So Clark kind of changing up his delivery a little bit. So Nate Mercado, one of the more established shortstops in the 16-inch world, and he tries to just pooch it. Lackluster effort by the fans. 2 strikes now on Nate. Well, Brian, that very well could be true, but we'll see. Resmondo does hit the ball extremely hard, even when they hit it through the infield. And a lot of times with this kind of wind, that's not a bad approach. It's just trying to drive it through and hope your opponent maybe makes a couple of mistakes. And that's going to hang up there in the air. And now you can see the left fielder had to make an adjustment. Josh Riley, he thought that was going to carry out to him, and wind was knocking it down. He had to take a couple of quick steps to get back into that. But he made the play. Again, I think trying to necessarily cut, it's going to be harder. And they are playing a little deeper today than they have been most of the weekend, which is kind of unusual when you consider the fact that the wind is howling in. But there is a little bit more space between the infielders and the outfielders than we've seen Resmondo give people during the weekend. My guess is as this game progresses, if the 45s are not dumping anything in front of them, that they'll stay there. But if they do, they'll start creeping in. So here's Sacy. And Sacy, ground ball handled by the third baseman. Little juggle there, but Bubba Mack stayed with it. So at the end of 1, no score. So both teams still kind of trying to figure the wind out a little bit. Again, we're seeing a lot of hitters toward the tail end of that circus Ftown game trying to be a little too fine, a little too precise. And I don't know if you could tell on the camera there, but that ball Mercado just threw over here really had some action on it. No, Eric, but he is winning the polling on for the best looking guy in softball still. So leading off, it's going to be, and there's a rocket down the line, and Jacoby isn't going to get to that. Phil Matt just crushed one right down the line drive, stand-up triple. So Israel Sanchez flattened out, and that ball was a screamer, hit right down the line. It was hit real hard. Israel's looking at the young left fielder, and Nate's saying, what do you want him to do? The ball one-hopped the fence out there. And that brings up Bubba Mack. And there's a ground ball. First run of the game, Joe Pauly makes the play. But Resmondo capitalizes on the leadoff triple. They take an early 1-0 lead. And again, I think Israel just flattened out to a guy that has big pop. He got it up in his wheelhouse. And Phil Matt just put a big swing on it. Here's Travis Clark, the pitcher. We were kidding Travis. They had so many guys in the home run contest yesterday. And that ball off the glove. Israel hustling to get there. Infield single. Again, Villarreal made a great adjustment off the deflection. But that's an example. Had Adam Haas come up with it clean, I think he would have been okay. Here's Buddy Wolf. And that pitch a little deep. And there's a high fly ball. That ball's not going anywhere. PJ Raines makes the catch. So that ball started out and really died. You could see Nate Mercado, the shortstop. Nate started out as an outfielder. He was actually in the neighborhood. 2 outs now. And here's Kyle Pearson, the shortstop. And I think it's important for Israel, especially with the top of the Resmondo lineup. You got to be real careful where you throw them. So 1-0 here, early lead. And of course, if you're Israel, you don't want to walk anybody. I think you want to try to limit how many times Resmondo can flip their lineup and get back to those top power guys. 31. And now we got a full count, 2 out. Clark will be running on the pitch. There he goes. Fly ball. Billy Smith is there. Two-handed catch. We go to the bottom of the second. Resmondo's broken the seal, and they take the lead 1-0. And Anthony Sanchez, a tough kid. Bad leg. I know Anthony, it's probably killing him that he's not out there today. So coming up here, it's going to be Jeff Mastari, Billy Smith, and Chris Lentine. It's Resmondo. Phil Matt. And that ball was murdered. So 1-0 here. So here's Jeff. Was playing on an A team last year. Made the jump. Of course, Jeff's dad in the Hall of Fame, one of the best shortstops, defensive shortstops in 16-inch softball history. And Jeff is one of the rising stars in 16-inch softball. And there's a ground ball. Here comes the short center, and we talked about some of the throwing. Jeff Mastari, a long strider, chewing up the merchandise there. Kevin Bazat got to it, threw across his body. It was a big screwball, and the wind just took it. Leadoff man on. So now, looks like Resmondo's tightened up on their infield. I don't think they necessarily want to make that longer throw. Bazat in particular has moved up. Here's Billy Smith. Looked like Billy was thinking of going down that right field line. And he hits a knuckleball into left field. Left fielder was so tight over there. Josh Riley, Mastari, even with his speed, had to wait. So first 2 hitters on for Chris Lentine. Chris Lentine picked up a co-MVP a couple of years ago in Wheeling. Chris a solid hitter. And again, I think that's what Billy Smith there. He got a pitch. And that's an infield fly rule. So Chris looked like he was trying to turn and burn maybe down that right field line. And he popped it up. And that's a good example there. I think sometimes you try to do a hair too much. The problem there, if you're the 45s at first and second, you needed to move these two guys and to be smart about it. Now they're really tight on the right side here with Adam Haas. And Adam goes to center, and it diving catch, throw to second, not in time. Center fielder, great effort. Looked like it was going to drop in there. Center fielder Corey Briggs came running in and made a diving catch. And that's a good example now. Had you moved these guys, and even had he made that catch, it would have tied the game up because Briggs was in no position to get up and throw home. So execution is always big in these types of games. And here's Danny Villarreal. So that was a good swing, but a better defensive play. And Villarreal trying to sweep the ball over here. So the 45s failed to score here. We'll be looking back on that at-bat where they didn't move these guys. And we'll see how that plays into the overall outcome. Villarreal, little line drive. So after the first two hitters get on base, they fail to move them. They don't score. We'll head to the third, 1-0. So again, that's I think we're getting some examples of guys just kind of pressing a little bit. So defense and execution. Resmondo opened the door a little bit there with the throwing error, but they didn't take advantage of it. And the one thing about the 45s is their execution is normally right on point. So the guy that made the diving catch, Corey Briggs, will be leading off, Brad Record, and then Kevin Bezat. And, you know, that's very interesting, too, because in a game like this, Corey sold out. If he don't make that catch and that ball squirts behind him, could have been a two-run homer, but he went for it, and he made the great catch. Again, we are playing for a national championship, so guys are going to go for it. And Bezat, high fly ball, that's going to die in no man's land out there. PJ throws it in. So Briggs flies out to start the top of the third, and it brings up Record. So here now, if you're the 45s, what you want to do is maybe buy yourself a little time, try to get a 3-up, 3-down inning before you got to face those big hitters again. But this team is good. I mean, every one of these guys on Resmondo can swing the bat. And there's a little fly ball, and Billy Smith right there. Two-handed catch. And it brings up Bezat. I always like when I see guys on turf. Some guys, it's more of a like a mental crutch. They go up there and they sweep the box on dirt. And I always chuckle when I see a guy do it on AstroTurf. So Israel jumps ahead. And there he tries to just slap it the other way. Nate Mercado, good read. Ball wasn't hit hard. And we'll go to the bottom of the third, still 1-0, looking ahead to the fourth. Top of the lineup coming up in the fourth for Resmondo. So it'll be the bottom third of the 45's lineup, Dom Jacoby, Joe Pauly, and Israel Sanchez. We are in the third. I did see J-Rob is here. We'll see if J-Rob takes a swing. Although J-Rob, he does have a bat. He's more of a cut-push guy. So we'll see what happens. But looks like the plan right now, I would think if there's nobody on and 2 outs, Israel might take that swing. But we'll see what happens. So Dom Jacoby, we covered this kid when he was in high school for the Chicago Public Schools playoffs. And he's been coming along. He's still a young buck. So he's been coming along. Los Barachos have done a great job developing this kid. Steve-O Rodriguez, my guy over there. So here's Dom Jacoby now. And they're squeezing Dom a little bit too. And Dom smokes it up the middle, picked up and just nipped him at first. Nice play that time by Bazat. Got the big hop, and he threw a rocket over here, and he needed to, as Dom Jacoby was really hustling. And that ball hit maybe to his right or left another step. Might have been a tougher play, but that was hit basically right at its belt buckle. And here's Joe Pauly. And Joe tries to go down that left field line. If it's fair, it's trouble. Foul ball, though. So he beat the left fielder, but foul. And very weird thing about the wind, the ball seems to be carrying right down that left field line. We'll see if some of these big, strong hitters start going that direction. As that's where Phil Matt hit that long triple. And Paulie really didn't barrel that up. He didn't hit it. It didn't look like he hit it real hard. It had a lot of air under it. Again, we'll talk a little bit after this pitch. And Paulie hits a knuckleball base hit. So Joe Paulie, he backed up the outfield with that long foul ball, and then he dumped it in front. You can see the football stadium is elevated, and there's a little, I wouldn't call it a gully, but drainage over there. And as a result, that wind comes off of there and comes down, and it does strange things. So here's a 1-out base runner for Israel Sanchez, and let's see what Izzy tries to do. And he tries to go down that right field line, long run, makes the catch into the fence. Paulie did not tag. And, you know, that's kind of interesting because they had shifted over for Israel. He had a monster hole between short and third. I thought he might have tried to just kind of sweep a ground ball through there, but he elected to try to pull. And here's P.J. Raines, 2 outs now. So Paulie will be running. And we haven't really seen Resmondo try to pick anybody off, although in the Iron game, CJ did pick off a base runner, and PJ, too much air, and that's going to be way out of play. A couple of dynasty guys, and now they get it in over there. 1-0 on the other diamond. Looks like the Pharaohs are playing Ftown. I think that's Ftown. So if you're PJ, you got to hit the ball a little firmer. We're dancing here with Larry Downs, Hall of Famer. PJ up the middle, it sneaks through. Paulie will get to third. Runner's on the corner now, and that's what we were talking about. That's always a good ball when you just try to drive a hole. And he just hit the biggest hole on the field and brings up Nate Mercado. And he does have that same kind of big hole there up the middle on the right field side. And Mercado, though, line drives it. He was trying to go to the right field hole, but he hit it right at Pearson. So the 45s, last 2 innings, have left 2 runners on. First and third with 2 outs, they couldn't capitalize. And then they had first and second, nobody out. So still 1-0 as we head to the top of the 4th. Top of the lineup for Resmondo coming up. Well, Dan, PJ is leading off today due to the injury to Anthony Sanchez. He normally hits second for them. So not much room to move him up normally, but PJ is having a good year, no doubt. Tony, it's played a lot here in Illinois. It's played a little bit in Indiana. It's played very extensively in Iowa. And there's a growing 16-inch softball community out in the Arizona, Southern California area. And like I said, since we've been doing the live streams, we started around 2018. And we're up over 34,500. We got followers all over the country and even some foreign countries. And I think that's probably military guys trying to get a little piece of home. So here's Josh Riley leading off. We'd like to think we had a little something to do with that, but
Right through it, Josh.
if you're down there and you know a park district that may want to try it, direct them to our Facebook page and have them reach out to us at info@softball. And there's a little knuckleball, and
Down.
Jacoby was tracking it all the way. The problem there was it was a knuckleball, and the wind was playing havoc with it, and the ball just died. So he just couldn't get there. But lead off long single there. Good gun there by Jacoby getting it in. So flashback with the wind blowing out, doing what they do, scoring runs. And there's a towering fly ball. Dom Jacoby, he's going to run out of real estate as that ball's out of play. So Dom got a great jump on both of these balls, but the knuckle action and that ball just got blown out of play. Last time up, Kyle Pearson hit a wicked ground ball to Adam Haas. And there he strokes a hit into right field. Billy Smith comes up firing. First and third, nobody out. So Pearson has come to the right side twice in this ball game. And it brings up Jason Matuzik. And now some of those wasted opportunities for the 45s could be coming home to roost. And there's a ground ball to Paulie, and that's about as slick as it gets. And with first and third, nobody out, the 45s will gladly take a double play and give up that run. So very slick turn, Villarreal to Paulie. And here's Phil Matt. And he goes down that line again, this time foul. Tell you, Phil's got a real quick bat. And all these 12-inch guys, they got a little different grip than we do. They usually got their top hand over a decent portion of their bottom hand. And they just kind of flicked the barrel at it. and throws it right out into right center there for a base hit. So he's got the triple and the double halfway to the cycle. 2 outs here for Bubba Mack, the third baseman. And there's a strike. And that's not a bad pitch. Israel got strike 1 and figured. And there's a little ground ball to Villarreal, sucks it up and throws. But in the inning, they do add a run. They push out to 2-0. So halfway through, Resmondo leading 2-0. Yeah, this is not a mush ball. This ball is pretty firm, and we do have some guys that can hit this ball 300 feet. It's not an everyday occurrence, and it maintains its consistency. We have some co-ed 16-inch, but what's getting popular up here is that 14-inch mush ball. We actually have a co-ed mushball national championship coming up at the end of September. And in mid-September, we'll have our 50 and over national championship tournament. And, of course, our big ball getaway out in Las Vegas the week after Columbus Day. Or is that it's Columbus Day on Monday, and it's on Saturday after Columbus Day. So here we go. Vince Sacy, Jeff Mastari, and Billy Smith. 3, 4, 5. 45's in a little bit of a hole here. So 3-0. Vince Sacy trying to draw that leadoff walk. Clark grabs a strike. And there's a little base hit. Vince Sacy has that swing. Basically hit a little 9-foot high line drive between the shortstop and the third baseman. Just softly hit. No chance for the left fielder. And I like that approach. It's 3-1 there, but Vince got a pitch he wanted to do something with. And here's Jeff Mastari. And I tell you, Jeff's got a lot of pop. If he hits a line drive down that left field line, and he tried, big hop, nicely done. Vince Sacy running by was trying to reach back for the base there. I think his foot might have caught the short center. So Jeff saw where the left fielder, Riley, was playing him. And I think he was trying to go a little big down that line, but the front shoulder flew open on him, and he topped it. So here's Billy Smith. Base hit to left center field on a knuckleball his last time up. And Billy Smith, and he catches it right above the ground. Pearson, nicely done. So Billy and last time up, Nate both tried to go to that first and second base hole, but they're playing so close. That's a tough hole to get through. The bigger hole is to the second baseman's right hand. Now they're going to move Bazat over up the middle. And here's Chris Lentine, and they are really choking him in left field or right field and right field. If Chris hits a line drive down either line, he's going to run for a day and a half. And there he hits it up the middle, base hit. Mastari will get to third. Third inning in a row. Now the throw gets away, but Clark diving, snagged it. Had Clark not gotten it, would have led to a run. But Clark dove and snagged that errant throw in third inning in a row, the 45s have had 2 base runners with 2 outs. Now it's Adam Haas's opportunity to try to break the seal. And there's a ball toward the gap. Long run. The wind almost collided. But the left fielder, Josh Riley, a little too much air. It hung up there. So 3 innings in a row, the 45s have had 2 base runners on. The last 2, they left a runner at third. And they've had base runners. 6 stranded in the last 3 innings. Hard to win softball games. Meanwhile, Resmondo got a triple and scored. And then they had first and third, nobody out. Even though it was a double play, they scored a run. And this game, 2 runs is a big lead in these weather conditions. Been good defense, really, by both teams. Flashback, 10-1. So it's going to be the pitcher, Travis Clark, Buddy Wolf, and Kyle Pearson, the shortstop. And there's a fly ball. That's going to die in center. P.J. Raines, easy catch for out number 1. Second time Clark has flied to center field. And that brings up Buddy Wolf. Again, the top of the Resmondo lineup's been efficient. They've scored both the runs. So again, if you're the 45s, as you're working through here, Buddy, the 7th hitter, would like to get through this inning without getting back to that top and see if you can't do something in the bottom of the 5th. And there's a wicked shot toward the gap. Long run. Raines can't get there, but nifty play to catch it on the hop. He got it in a hurry, but the lefty, Buddy Wolf, gets to second base. So that's an example. Had Buddy Wolf been a right-handed hitter, he may have been out there, but being lefty, having that advantage of a step and a half, it was enough for him to get there. Slick play by Raines as he was sliding, couldn't get there, but made a slick pickup on that one hopper. So here's Kyle Pearson. And there's a little short fly ball. Jacoby makes the catch. Fires it into third. Again, no reason for Wolf to run. With 2 outs, he'll be running on a swing. He's going to score anyway. Don't want to make that third out at third base. And here's Corey Briggs, the center fielder. He's made one spectacular play in this game to keep the 45s off the board earlier.
You're good. You got 10 feet.
And there's a high fly ball. Billy Smith makes the catch, so we head to the bottom of the 5th, still 2-0. Meanwhile, Ftown and the Pharaohs 1-1 in the 4th down there. Pharaohs walked off Hex down there 5-4 in extras. So right now, if you're Tito's, you just got to find a way to break this seal. You're right in the ball game. But they have left 6 runners on in the last 3 innings. So it's Villarreal, Dom Jacoby, and Joe Pauly. And then we'll see if J-Rob swings for Israel Sanchez. And it's an interesting game because both teams are locked in, playing good defense. Runs are a little tight to score. And right now, if you're the 45s, you just want to change that number and put something up. So here's Villarreal. Well, not today, Pops. So there's a strike. Pitch a little deep. They're really squeezing Danny in left and right. And there's a little chopper. Here comes Pearson, and he makes the play. Looked like he was flicking a bottle cap into a garbage can the way he threw that. So here's Dom Jacoby. Last time up. They're squeezing Dom as well here. And he tries to go down that line. That's going to be well out of play. And again, on a day like today, anything hit up in the air, with the exception of Phil Matt, who apparently the laws of physics don't apply to him because the ball he hit was not affected. You want to make guys work a little bit. So when you hit it up in the air, you're giving outs away. And Jacoby, hard ground ball. Bazat makes the play. So you can see Bazat started out a little deeper, had that throwing error earlier in the game, and he's really tightened up now. He's got a little bit of a low angle on his arm slot. So he seems like he could be prone on longer throws to having kind of a screwball action on it. So here's Joe Pauly, 2 up, 2 down. Again, we're in the bottom of the 5th here. And there's a hard ball, and he can't make the catch. Pauly's going to end up at second. Josh Riley got a good jump. He got there. I'm not sure what happened. He put the glove out, but didn't make the catch. Josh has got that body language outfielders get when they think they should have caught it. And they did. And I think he was halfway between deciding whether he wanted to go down and maybe slide and catch that or just run through it. So here's the pinch hitter, John Robinson. We'll see what J-Rob does here. 2 outs. So another runner in scoring position with 2 outs for the 45s. They have yet to score. And there's a little weird spinner, and the third baseman makes the catch. So J-Rob, I think he just wanted to kind of flip it over to the third baseman, hit it toward the end of the bat. And again, 45s leave yet another base runner. That is 7 in the last 4 innings that they've left on base, including a couple in scoring position. So they just haven't been able to get that extra hit to get on the board here. Resmondo, 2-0. So in a game where execution is important, Resmondo has done a little better job of it. So we got a pinch hitter here. Think this might be Tyler Mashburn taking a swing. We haven't seen him this weekend, so he must have come in. And he hits a little ground ball to Villarreal, and that'll be out number 1. So it was Mashburn. So here comes Josh Riley. So he hit for Kevin Bazat. And I don't think he was here all weekend. So that might have been his first 16-inch bat ever. No, I'm sorry. He hit for record. This is Bazat. So one out here, top of the sixth. And there he tries to slap and run. Mastari, no chance. So Kevin Bazat just took what they gave him there. And not much you can do there. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more of that from the Chicago or Iowa teams, but Resmondo is playing so tight on their infield. So here's Josh Riley, one out, one on. Big inning here for the 45s. You want to hold it here. Going to the bottom of the sixth. They'll have the top of their lineup up. And ideally what you'd want to do is hold it here and maybe push 2 or 3 across and shift the pressure. Ground ball. Pauly steps, throws, double play. Nicely done by Joe Pauly. That'll end the inning. And I got to tell you, that's about the 15th time this weekend walking around I've seen guys hit the ball right at the short center with a guy on first. It's like 15 times this weekend in the whole tournament. So being an old manager, I just, So now if you're Tito's, you got your Tito's 45s. They used to be sponsored by Tito's. But when you're in a game like this, psychologically, and we really haven't seen Resmondo trail after maybe the first half inning of a ball game this weekend. Ideally here, if you're the 45s, you'd like to score 3, maybe 4. Put a little pressure on Resmondo and see if you can't steal this game after trailing. But you're going to have to clean up this runners left on base, 7 in the last 4 innings. So I'm going to grab a quick swig, and I'll be right back. So here's P.J. Raines. He'll be followed by Nate Mercado and Vince Sacy. And now we're getting down to it. Bottom of the 6th. Again, we anticipated a low-scoring game, and that's exactly what we've gotten here. P.J. Raines, a little too much air. That's going to be an easy out.
Don't worry, Dugout. I'll tell him.
So again, it's okay to try to go down the lines here because they are giving you a little, but that pitch was so low, he didn't what I call sit through the swing. He was vertical with his torso, dropped the head of the bat, and when he hit it, he was basically hitting it straight up. If you're going to do that, you got to bend the knees and your back a little bit, and you got to fire through it. So Nate Mercado a slap, and that'll be 2 outs. So the 45s just can't seem to get their offense on track here. They had first and second, nobody out, and they got an infield pop-up that didn't move the runners, and they failed to score in that inning. And the center fielder, Corey Briggs, made a diving catch of a sinking line drive. And there's Vince Sacy doing Vince Sacy things. He's the only guy that has been patient and just thrown his regular swing out there. So here's Jeff Mastari in a 2-0 game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. And Jeff has been just a little off in his timing this weekend. And I know Jeff really wants to drive something, but he's got to, as a younger player, he's got to learn to control his emotion a little bit. And you got to look for your pitch, and then you just got to, as I say, put that batting practice swing on it. And there's a strike.
Here we go.
3-1 now. And there's a wicked shot. He timed that up. Sacey will get the third. And again, with 2 outs here, the 45s have a couple of runners on. They've had base runners. That hasn't been the problem. And here's Billy Smith. Believe it or not, Billy Smith's been around a long time. Now they're squeezing Billy a little bit. Back in the day, Billy really had a lot of pop. If he hooks one down that left field line, could be a different ball game. And he goes down that line, but foul. If that ball been fair, it might have been trouble. Mastari's going to score on a stretch single. And I know sometimes we got guys in 16-inch that'll, early in the count, they will have a purpose at bat, or a swing, I should say, where they might want to move somebody out of a gap or an alley, and they'll go foul one way or the other. But I think he's got 2 strikes here. Josh Riley's moved off that line even more. And I think, and there's a pickoff play. Hits Jeff in the backside. First time we've seen Resmondo try to pick a guy off. So he's still. So 1-2 here is the count. They're giving them both lines. And there's a little roller up the middle. And Mastari just out at second. So the 45s have left 9 guys on in the last 5 innings. So they've had opportunities, just couldn't get the big 2-out hit. Mastari did everything he could to try to beat the fielder's choice. Had he beat that, it would have been interesting because Bazat would have then had to try to throw to first. So we go to the top of the 7th. 45s need to hold this here if they want to have a chance in the bottom half. They'll have Lentin, Haas, and Villarreal. Anybody gets on, it'll be young Dom Jacoby. And this game has just turned into a war of attrition. Meanwhile, Farrell's and Ftown 1-1 in the 6th. I saw Bob Russ Jr. and a couple of the flashback guys, so they must have held on and beat March. So the flashback will be playing the winner of this ball game. And there's a swing and a high fly ball. Dom Jacoby started back. He comes in. And Pearson leads off with the long fly out. And here's Matusik. So if you're Resmondo, you might want to, even though the 45s have struggled, you might want to pick up an insurance run here if you could. And there's a ground ball to Israel Sanchez. And to be honest with you, the 45s have had more base runners and scoring opportunities than Resmondo has had in this ballgame. I think if you didn't know the scoreboard, but you were just glancing in and out, you would think the 45s were scoring a lot of runs. And there's a high pop-up, long run, and it's going to be out of play. So Phil Matt trying to go back down that line. That's correct, Mr. Bliss. And let me tell you, he got to that second round. There was only 7 swings, and he hit 6 dingers, and none of them were cheap. That was about the most impressive thing I've seen at a 16-inch softball home run hitting contest. The guy hitting 6 out of 7. And Israel got the leather on it, and it popped straight up to him, and he looked at it. So do or die, bottom of the 7th, coming up for Tito, or for the 45s. We'll see if they got any magic. Nothing to do now if you're the 45s, but free swing a little bit. So it's going to be Chris Lentine, Adam Haas, and Danny Villarreal. We'll see if the 45s can come out and maybe steal one here from Resmondo. And both teams have been pretty good defensively. Resmondo's hitting the 2 double plays. But like I said, if we're just going to look at scoring chances, the 45s have had more. Little failure to execute the 1 inning. The other innings started with 2 outs. They just couldn't get a 2-out hit. So this is one of the more important hitters of the inning. You always want to get your leadoff man on. It makes you dangerous. It puts the tie in the box, and it ratchets up the pressure, especially for these outfielders. So Chris Lentine's job is just to get on base here. And there, and nice play there by the second baseman, Mashburn. He hit for Reichert, stayed in the game. Again, Chris looked like he was trying to go big, and it's really the wrong approach here. You're just looking to get base hits and put good swings on it. So here's Adam Haas. And there is space out there. And that ball is going to be way out of play. Fan couldn't make a one-handed catch. Well, that's a good question. Get a lot of guys that say, oh, I hit 700. But at the major level where there are no secrets and you got a lot of jackrabbits and good infielders, I think if you're hitting anywhere 440, 450 and above, you're doing a pretty good job. And Adam Haas, and Clark returns the favor. That ball looked like it might have been heading to the outfield. 45's down to their last out here. And Danny Villarreal. So unless the 45s mount a rally here, it looks like it's going to be Resmondo and Flashback. And that'll be a little different looking game, fans, because the wind will be blowing out on that diamond. Right now, if you're the 45s, you just need to get a base runner. And there's a ground ball. Third baseman can't make a play. Buddy Wolf. Danny Villarreal hit a hot one-hopper. Fair. He reached over, couldn't make the play, so they still have life. And here's a pinch hitter. Matt Johnston. Going to pinch hit here for Dom Jacoby. And Matt Johnston, and this should do it. So Matt Johnston grounds out. Resmondo wins a low-scoring 2-0 game. 45s just couldn't get a hit when they needed it. They left a ton of base runners on base, but they played good defense. They're still alive in the event, but they'll have to do it the hard way. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll be back later with more softball. Stay with us.